Hello friend, my name is Doombabe and today we're going to be talking about Written in the Sky, which gained a whole lot of attention, or as much attention as an indie game can get, for being the first uncensored adult game released on Steam. Developed by Unwonted Studios and released on Halloween of this year, Written in the Sky tells the story of Azure, a listless teenager that suffers from an intense case of curiosity that leads her to a warehouse after getting lost. She finds a ring that is totally not the one ring and decides to put it on her finger, where it immediately latches on and begins to glow. It turns out that by putting on the ring, she unknowingly betrothed herself to the Queen of Mars, who then appears and insists that they wed. So, let's be honest, the story was pretty terrible in every sense of the word. To give you a frame of reference, it took me a grand total of 53 minutes to get through the entire game, and that is including the fact that my power went out halfway through the game and I didn't save, so I had to go back and replay the game all over again. The entire story concept itself isn't really a bad one, so I can't rain on that parade. You know, the main character living with her father, who is so obsessed with his work that he doesn't really have time for his daughter, and stumbling across some awesome alien artifact that totally changes her world? I can dig that. I even liked what they did with Sienna, the Queen of Mars, who needed that ring to marry a Mercurian to avoid a horrible war. Which, by the way, the name puns did not go over my head. You know, Azure being the Earthling and Sienna being the Martian. That was clever. But when it came to the actual execution of the story, it failed so absolutely miserably. There are no real characters outside of Azure and Sienna who I really just never understood. Azure is a high schooler that's bored with her life, sure, but an alien or a person claiming to be an alien comes across her path without having any sort of alien-like qualities and never really proves that she's an alien. And she just believes her after a good night's rest. And then Sienna emphasizes on the fact that she needs this ring to find her Fan Rue on Mercury so they can avoid this impending doom that's going to come from a horrible war if she doesn't find someone to marry. But then she settles on marrying an Earthling she literally just met. So she throws away peace and her people's lives for an Earthling that she not only just met, but doesn't really have much of an interest in marrying her to begin with. Like, they get married after 3 days. 2 if you don't count the night they met, where Azure got the ring and then she ran away. It was really like the writers were just interested in getting to the 10-minute lesbian sex scene that had more plot, I shit you not, than the entire goddamn game itself. I'm not even joking, it was like a PWP that masquerades as a real story. Also, why is it that Sienna claims to struggle with English, calling it earthnese and not being able to come up with the word for marriage or husband or wife, but she still manages to pronounce 3 to 4 syllable words? I mean, if you're going to implement a language barrier in your story, then implement a fucking language barrier. Even if it's not like what they did with Gargantia, make it more than just one character struggling with 2 or 3 words. Visually speaking, this wasn't terrible, and because this is a free game, I'm not really going to nitpick on things like some pixelated lines here and there when the rest of the game looked really nice. The coloring and shading were both well done, and I particularly had a soft spot for the eye designs, which had a sort of exotic look to them. Though I have to admit that the main menu screen didn't match the rest of the game. I don't really know why they made the decision to create it all dark and blue when the rest of the game is all pink and yellow, because it just doesn't look like it belongs with the same game in the slightest. And when it came to the world design, it wasn't bad. It wasn't super detailed and taking away from the characters or looking like a photograph put through an oilify filter. For the most part, the world design, while being relatively uninspired, was well created and had just enough detail to look nice without it being distracting. And the character designs themselves weren't really that interesting. I mean, Azure, she looked cute, but with Sienna, I really wish they made her look more like an alien instead of like a teenager that was going through her cyberpunk phase, because that's exactly what she looked like. You'll notice that, well, unless you're new here, that I skipped the gameplay segment because there was basically no gameplay whatsoever. There were no choices, and I just put the game on auto and I just watched it happen. All in all though, this game was pretty terrible, and like I said earlier, this is a free game, so I'm not really booty troubled over, lost money or something. I'm just disappointed that out of all of the games to be released on Steam to be the first, uncensored adult game, is this. Like, we've been waiting for an uncensored title to launch on the platform for how long, and this is the one that breaks the ice? It's kind of a letdown. Anyways, those are my thoughts on the game Written to the Sky. Have you played it? Am I being a little too harsh? Let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, you can find all of my social media as well as my Patreon in the description. Happy unbirthday, and I will see you later. Bye!